Hello and welcome to News Now. I am Omobolanli Adeshui. President Muhammad Buhari has appointed 7 new ministers. The nominees are Henry Ikechukwu from Abia State, Umana from Akwa Ibom State, Ekuma Joseph from Ebonyi State, Goodluck Obia from Imo State, Umar Yakub from Kano State, Ademola Adegorioye from Ondo State, and Odo Udi from Rivers State. The newly appointed ministers are to replace ministers on the president's cabinet who had resigned to contest for other offices. The president's letter to the Senate seeking confirmation of the nominated ministers was read by the Senate President, Ahmad Lawan, at the start of the plenary on Tuesday. Some of the ministers who resigned are Rotimi Amechi, Godswill Akpabio, Ugbonaya Onu, and Chukwuemeka Nwajuba, who contested for the presidential primary. Others are Uche Oga, who contested and won the factional Abia State governorship primary, and Tayo Alasho-Adura, who contested and lost the APC senatorial primary. They had resigned by the provisions of Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act, which states, quote, "No political appointee at any level shall be a voting delegate or be voted for at the convention or congress of any political party for the nomination of candidates for any election," end quote. Although the appeal court had declared the section unconstitutional, the case was moved to the Supreme Court for a final decision. The new ministers will be screened on another legislative day. And a move for the House of Representatives to override the President Muhammad Buhari on Section 84, subsection 8 of the Electoral Act 2022, which seeks to provide for statutory delegates at the meetings, congresses, and conventions of political parties, has suffered a setback. Two members of the People's Democratic Party, the Deputy Minority Leader, Toby Okechukwu, and Ben Igbakwa, who failed to get tickets to seek re-election at the recently concluded primary, had protested on the floor of the House last Wednesday. Speaker Gbajabiamila had particularly criticized the failure of the parties to allow statutory delegates to vote for candidates at the primaries, as the National Assembly proposed in the amendment to Section 84, subsection 8 of the Electoral Act 2022, which the President had yet to assent to. Okechukwu had backed Gbajabiamila on the comments made by the Speaker earlier on Tuesday, faulting the way political parties conducted primaries, leading to the failure of members of the National Assembly to get tickets for their respective parties to seek re-election in the 2023 general elections. On Tuesday, Igbakwa moved a motion for the House to invoke Section 58, subsection 5 of the 1999 Constitution on the amendment bill after the 30-day window within which the President ought to have signed it had expired. The Deputy Speaker, Ahmed Wase, who presided over the session, however, faulted the procedure adopted by Igbakwa. Wase argued that Igbakwa was supposed to have requested the House Committee on Rules and Business to recommit the bill for reconsideration through the Speaker. While Igbakwa noted that the motion complied with the directive of the Speaker, Wase insisted that the motion be stepped down and the right procedure followed, which the sponsor vowed to do. And as the government continues to review the issue of the kidnapped railway passengers and makes all efforts to trace and bring back the 51 or more still being held in custody, President Muhammad Buhari has directed increased efforts towards rescuing kidnapped railway passengers still in custody and bringing the case to a close. A statement by Garuba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity on Tuesday, said upon the President's approval, rescue efforts are taking a two-lane approach, the kinetic and the non-kinetic, to ensure the captive's safe release. Shehu said the kidnappers made a demand for the release of their children, and upon the settlement of that issue, they let go 11 of the victims, even though more were expected. He said the government is not leaving any stone unturned in efforts to bring all hostages back home, adding that the defense, security, and intelligence agencies have given assurances to intensify operational engagement geared towards restoring peace in all parts of the country. Meanwhile, the negotiator for Abuja-Kaduna train attack victims, Malam Tukuru Mamu, on Tuesday, raised an alarm over the deteriorating health condition of the remaining victims in the kidnappers' den. Tukuru Mamu, who is also the publisher of the Kaduna-based Desert Herald newspaper, feared that some of the victims who are being subjected to horrible conditions were bitten by snakes may not survive if the federal government did not act urgently to ensure their release. And the Nigeria Police Force Federal Capital Territory Command Abuja has detained the Twitter user Amira Sufyan, who said via her Twitter handle that she and 16 other residents of the Federal Capital Territory were kidnapped by gunmen in police uniform. Amira disclosed that the gunmen were 6 in number, 4 Yoruba and 2 Fulani. She had claimed that among the abductees were 3 pregnant women and 2 children. Her tweet had generated a lot of tension nationwide and among citizens who urged the authorities to investigate the matter and ensure her safety. However, the FCT command said her allegation was not true. The police maintained that there was no kidnapping incident as alleged by Amira and detained her for raising false alarms amid the insecurity ravaging the nation. One of the opposition parties, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has insisted that the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, Oyo State, Professor Kayode Adebowale, cannot serve as a returning officer in the forthcoming governorship election in OSUN State. The party, while rejecting the appointment of Adebowale as a returning officer for the July 16 gubernatorial election in the state by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, alleged that the academia was affiliated with the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. The PDP said that the VC's sincerity in the election is hence not assured. The chairman of the legal committee of the Senator Ademola Adeleke campaign organization, Niyi Owolade, argued that Adebowale was an APC appointee under the John Oyegun-led council. Owolade further alleged that Adebowale had been part of Ekiti APC campaign on more than 5 occasions. In response to the PDP's claims, the APC chairman in Osun, Boyega Famodun, described the allegations as baseless, saying the general public should disregard the claims. The Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, Brigadier General Muhammad Kako Fatah, on Tuesday appealed for stakeholders' renewed support for the establishment of the NYSC Trust Fund and for the entrenchment of its health initiative for rural dwellers, HIRD. The DG's appeal was contained in an address read on his behalf by the Ogun State coordinator of the scheme, Mrs. Winifred Ngozi Shopeka, during swearing-in ceremony of the 2022 Batch B Stream 1 Corps members deployed to the state. The DG, during the swearing-in ceremony, which was held at the Shagamu Orientation Camp, expressed optimism that the trust fund, when established, would enhance the smooth operations of the scheme and address challenges of infrastructure and provision of startup capital for core members. Shopeka appealed for stakeholders' support to increase the holding capacity of the orientation to 5,000 based on the mandate of the Director General. The federal government has disclosed it disbursed 86 billion naira for the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, BHPF, as of June. The Secretary of the Oversight Committee of the Federal Ministry of Health, Dr. Chris Isoponkwo, made this known on Monday in Abuja at a ministerial media conference on the development in the health sector. According to him, about 56 billion naira has so far been disbursed to the state out of the amount stated. He said the fund, inaugurated in 2019, was meant to strengthen public health facilities. Isoponkwo also said that about 83% of the target